More than 40 million Americans suffer from some kind of anxiety disorder. Author Daniel Smith has battled chronic anxiety for most of his life. He explains his condition in a book called Monkey Mind, an honest and funny memoir. It's published by Simon & Schuster, which, by the way, is a division of CBS. Hello to you, Daniel Smith.
Hello.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm a little anxious. You're making me calm, though, a little bit. Look
Yes,
at you.
We will get through this. When did you first realize this was an issue for you? How old were you? What was happening?
I was 16. I'd been a pretty nervous kid. I'd had phobias and tics and little things like that, and I was sensitive. But anxiety didn't really become a serious problem for me until I was around 16 and lost my virginity in a way that I found kind of traumatic and dramatic and nervous-making.
No, no, you write about it in the book in a way. I have to say, I went from laughing to ew to feeling to feeling very, very poignant about the story that you were telling.
Yeah.
Because it traumatized you really for years.
It did. It did traumatize me for a long time, and it was really what made my anxiety into a serious problem. Before that, anxiety is a universal emotion. Mm-hmm. So I'd experienced it before. Everyone's experienced anxiety.
In some form.
In some form, every day, and you need to. Otherwise, you'd get hit by a car if you didn't have some form of anxiety. You need to be able to be vigilant about threats. But it was after that point that anxiety really took root inside my body, inside my mind. It became a problem, something that really troubled my days and kept me up at night and became, in a word, a disorder or an affliction.
But for instance, Daniel, you would go from point A to point Z. Just give me a brief example of how it manifests itself in your day.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm sure it'll happen after I stop talking to you. I'll say, I shouldn't have said A to Gayle, and because I did, my publisher will be upset, and because of that, they won't push the book as much, and then it'll disappear from the shelves. My wife will leave me. I will end up on the street. Won't let me see my kid. I will end up selling my body for money in some alleyway and contracting HIV and developing AIDS and then dying homeless and alone.
All of that
in about a second.
From just this conversation.
I know. Well, I know there's a lot at stake.
So how do you manage it? How do you manage it?
Well, I take medication, and that sort of cuts the peaks off the anxiety, but it doesn't really change the way that I think permanently and in a way that I need. I think the way I think of anxiety, my anxiety is as a habit. I have these patterns of thought, and they've been there since I'm 16, if not before, and I'm now in my 30s. They're there. They're solid tracks in my head, and I need to find a way to get around them and develop better and more healthful ways of thinking. So I've been in cognitive behavior therapy. I found that very helpful.
You have a lot in your family too. Your parents suffer from it. You have a brother, you have a brother that suffers from it. So it isn't just you, Daniel Smith. I mean, you tell a great story in the book about the Roy Rogers syndrome, that you can go and make a life-changing decision about whether you do ketchup or barbecue sauce.
Oh, yeah.
That just seems so extreme to most people.
It is extreme. I mean, I have anxiety worse than most people. I sort of, that's why I wrote this book, is sort of to show people that this is what it looks like. And because I'm a good case study, I can actually use myself and use the feelings of anxiety. A lot of people don't think of anxiety as something that's embodied, something that you feel within your gut and in your limbs, sometimes things that make things seem unreal. It's a real lived experience.
Well, I'm happy to say you are married.
I am.
You have a child.
Yes.
So it may be tough to love somebody with anxiety, but there is a way that you can do that too.
It is. There is a way you can do that too.
God bless Joanne.
God bless Joanna. Yeah, by realizing that the person who's struggling with the anxiety, it's not about them.
Yes.
And it's not. Yeah. It's not about them. It's about the person who's struggling with the anxiety. It's the way they think.
All right. Monkey Mind is the title of the book, a memoir of anxiety. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you so
very
much.